I want to start with a scenario. I think every single person listening is going to recognize this feeling.
Okay.
It's like a Tuesday afternoon, you're at work, maybe you're dealing with family stuff, and someone just crosses the line.
Not just a small line.
No, they sprint across it.
Yeah.
And you are just furious.
We're talking about that physical, like vibrating kind of rage.
Exactly. Your heart's pounding,
Yeah.
your skin feels tight, and you have this, overwhelming urge to just scream.
Mm-hmm.
But because you're a responsible, emotionally intelligent adult, you don't scream.
Mm.
You do the healthy thing. You find a quiet room, pull out your journal, and you start writing.
Right. It's the gold standard advice we all hear. Get it on paper. Journal your feelings.
Right. But here's the plot twist, and this is where I think so many of us get stuck. 20 minutes and 3 pages later, you realize something kind of terrifying.
What's that?
You're not calmer. You are actually angrier than when you started. You've just spent all this time etching your rage into stone, and now you feel like you could fight the sun.
It is an incredibly common experience. And the tragedy is, most people think it means they're bad at processing. They think, I'm doing the work. Why isn't it working?
Yeah.
But the reality is much simpler and much more biological. For that specific high-intensity emotion, the tool you're using is just, well, it's physiologically backwards.
That is the headline we're unpacking today. We're looking at this fascinating article from the Lounge blog called Why Anger Needs a Voice, Not a Journal. And the mission for this deep dive is to really look at why writing about your rage can be a trap and why you might need to stop writing and start speaking.
But let's be super clear up front. This is not about yelling at your boss.
No, please don't do that and blame us.
Or your partner. This is about the science of something called physiological completion. It's about understanding that anger isn't just a mood, it's a biological event.
And if you treat a biological event like a homework assignment,
You're going to get stuck.
So let's get into the mechanics of this. Because I have to admit, I'm a big journal person. If I'm sad, I write. Anxious, I write. So why does the pen fail us specifically with anger?
It all comes down to a conflict, a mismatch between what your biology is doing and what the activity requires of you.
Okay.
So think about the physiology of anger. Evolutionarily, what is anger for?
It's fight or flight, right?
It's mobilization. Your amygdala hits the panic button, your heart rate spikes to pump blood out to your limbs, your muscles tense up, your body is priming itself to move.
It's high arousal energy.
It's kinetic.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, contrast that biological state, which is screaming for movement, with the act of writing. What does writing require?
Well, stillness, mostly. You have to sit down, you're hunched over.
It's sedentary. It requires fine motor skills. And critically, it forces you to engage your prefrontal cortex, the analytical, logical part of your brain, to choose words and structure sentences.
So you have a body that's chemically prepared to punch a saber-toothed tiger.
And you're telling it to sit still and worry about grammar.
That creates friction.
Immense friction. It's a fundamental mismatch between what your body needs, discharge, and what you're giving it, which is containment and analysis. The source calls it the writing trap.
That concept of the writing trap was so relatable. The article argues that when we write about anger, we don't release it. We end up building a case.
Yes. This is the danger of engaging that analytical brain too early. When you sit down to write, I am mad because your brain just automatically shifts into lawyer mode.
Oh, 100%.
You aren't just feeling the feelings, you're justifying them. You start crafting the perfect argument for this imaginary courtroom in your head.
Oh, I do this all the time. I'll write a sentence, and then I'll actually cross it out and rewrite it to make myself sound more reasonable and the other person sound worse.
Exactly. He wasn't just rude, he was systematically disrespectful.
I am not just venting. I am editing the narrative.
And it feels good in the moment, right? It feels like you're winning. But physiologically, what are you doing?
You're just refining the anger, polishing it.
You're rehearsing the grievance over and over. The source uses this great phrase. The anger doesn't release, it calcifies.
Calcifies. Wow, that is such a heavy image, like it's hardening in your arteries.
It means you're hardening that anger into resentment. You're embedding it deeper into your neural pathways instead of moving it out of your system.
So you're not letting it go, you're building a monument to it.
You're essentially ruminating with a better vocabulary, and rumination is the enemy of release.
Okay, so if the pen is the problem because it's too slow, too analytical, the solution is the voice. But why? What is it about speaking out loud that fixes this mismatch?
It goes back to that idea of physiological completion. To discharge that energy, the body needs action. Speaking is action.
In a way that writing isn't.
Yes. Think about the physical mechanics. When you speak with emotion, your diaphragm contracts, your vocal cords vibrate, you're pushing air through your body.
It's a physical engagement?
You are doing something, not just thinking about something. It's visceral.
Like an internal movement.
Exactly. And there's research on this, on affect labeling. It's the idea that putting feelings into words reduces activity in the amygdala, the brain's alarm center.
Right.
But here's the crucial detail. For high arousal emotions like anger, speaking those words produces a much, much stronger effect than writing them.
So saying I am furious out loud does more for my nervous system than writing it down.
Significantly more, because it allows for the discharge of energy. It's like yelling into a pillow or screaming in your car. We kind of dismiss that stuff as, movie tropes.
Or just cathartic folklore.
But it's actually a biological necessity.
Yeah.
It completes the loop. Your body prepared for a fight, and vocalizing gives it a way to expend that energy without actually hitting anyone.
I want to play the skeptic for a second,
Right.
because I think a lot of listeners might be thinking, well, I can't just go scream somewhere. I'll just push it down, smile, and get on with my day.
The suppression route. And the source is very clear. Suppression is actually worse than the rumination we were just talking about.
Worse.
Because suppressed anger doesn't just vanish. I mean, energy can't be destroyed, right? It only transforms. And if you don't release that emotional energy, it leaks out sideways.
Leaks out how?
As passive-aggressive comments, as deep resentment that poisons relationships. Or it becomes somatic. It turns into tension headaches, jaw pain, back issues.
Classic, I'm fine, said through gritted teeth while your eye is twitching.
That's the one. And the dangerous part is it eventually leads to explosive outbursts. You hold it in for months, being the bigger person, and then someone uses the wrong coffee mug and you just lose your mind.
The disproportionate reaction, why is he crying about the coffee mug? Well, he's not.
Exactly. He's crying about the last 3 months. The pressure cooker never got a release valve. And here's the key insight. Pushing emotions down actually increases physiological arousal. You aren't calming down, you're just vibrating internally.
So the goal isn't to pretend the anger isn't there.
No, the goal is to move it through the system so it doesn't get stuck.
Okay, so we need to move it through. We need to give it a voice. But practically. How do we do this? Because if I start screaming my inner monologue at my desk, I'm getting fired.
Right. Context is everything. Step 1, and this is critical, is finding your container.
Container. Sounds a bit spy novel. What's that mean?
It just means a place where you can be absolutely 100% private, a space where you cannot be heard.
The source says the car is pretty much ideal for this.
The car is the perfect modern therapy booth. It's sound insulated, it's private. A walk in the woods works if you're sure you're alone, but the privacy is non-negotiable.
Why is it so important? Is it just so we don't look unhinged?
It's deeper. It's about overcoming self-censorship. If there is even a 1% chance someone might hear you, your partner, your kids, a roommate, you will not be honest. You'll filter yourself.
You'll try to be reasonable.
And reasonable doesn't process rage. Reasonable suppresses it. You need a space where you can be totally unreasonable.
That makes so much sense. Okay, so we're in our container. Let's say we're in the car, windows up. What now? Just start talking.
Yes, but with rules. Step 2 is no editing.
No editing. So
This is not a speech. It's not a statement for HR. It should be messy. Repeat yourself. Contradict yourself. Say the unfair things.
I love that. The permission to be unfair. Because sometimes you feel things that you know aren't rational. Like, I hate everyone in this building.
And you need to say it to release it. If you stop to correct yourself, well, not everyone. Susan is nice. You're back in the analytical brain. You're back in the trap. You have to let the raw, ugly, irrational data out.
Okay, so we're in the car, babbling without editing. What about volume? Is there a requirement?
Yes. Step 3, match the intensity. This is so critical.
So whispered anger doesn't work.
It won't discharge the energy.
Yeah.
If you are a 10 out of 10 on the rage scale, your voice needs to reflect that. You don't have to scream until you're hoarse, but you can't flatten the emotion into a monotone description.
If you're furious, sound furious.
Let your diaphragm do the work. And if you do this, if you find the container, skip the editing, and match the intensity, you will experience what the source calls the shift.
The shift, what does that feel like?
It's the moment the fever breaks. Anger usually starts hot and fast, right? It's sharp. But as you speak it out, as you physically push it out, it cools, it transforms.
It transforms into what, though?
Often sadness or hurt or just clarity. You might start screaming about how your partner never listens, and 5 minutes later find yourself crying because you actually just feel lonely. That's the shift.
So anger was just a protective layer.
Yes. Anger is almost always a bodyguard for a more vulnerable emotion. It stands at the door and pushes people away. And you can't get to the vulnerability if the bodyguard is still armed to the teeth.
You have to let the bodyguard speak his piece so he can step aside.
Exactly. And the journal just keeps the bodyguard employed. The voice processing lets him retire for the night.
This brings up a huge benefit that I think is the biggest selling point for this whole thing, relationship protection. Because when we're in that red zone, we're dangerous.
Yes. This is why you do it alone. The source talks about this as a buffer.
How does it buffer our relationships?
Well, think about the things you want to say when you're in that rage. They're toxic. They're mean.
Oh, absolutely. The you always and you never statements. The low blows.
If you say those to the person, you can't unsay them. You cause damage. But with voice processing, you say all the toxic, mean, unfair things to the dashboard of your car. You get them out of your system.
It's like separating church and state.
It is separating processing from communication. They are two totally different tasks. We tend to mash them together. We think being honest means saying everything we feel the moment we feel it.
I was just speaking my truth.
Right. But if your truth in that moment is designed to destroy someone, maybe process it first. Processing is for you, raw, uncensored. Communication is for the relationship, thoughtful and shared after the heat is gone.
I love that distinction. We try to process it, people.
We do, but usually after you've done the voice processing, you realize the actual message is way simpler. It's not a 10-minute rant. It's just, I felt disrespected when you were late.
And that's a conversation you can actually have.
Exactly.
Okay, but what about just calling a friend? Isn't that voice processing? I ran to my best friend. She agrees with me. I feel better. Why do I need to talk to myself?
This is the venting trap.
Yep.
And it's tricky because it feels like it's helping. But venting to friends can actually backfire.
Oh, friends are supposed to be supportive.
They are, and that's the problem. If you call your friend and say, my boss is a nightmare, what is your friend gonna say?
They'll say, yeah, he's a total jerk. You're so right.
Right. They validate you. And while that feels good, it adds fuel to the fire. It keeps you stuck in that I am right, they are wrong loop.
So you're not moving through the anger. You're just setting up camp in it.
You're bonding over the grievance. Doing it alone gives you the venting without that validation loop. You get the discharge, but no one is there to pile on. You have to face your own words.
That's interesting because if I'm screaming in my car and I say, I hate him because he breathes too loud, there's nobody there to go, yeah, loud breathers are the worst.
Exactly. You hear yourself and realize, okay, maybe I'm being a bit dramatic. The lack of validation forces you to confront the reality of it, and the anger usually burns out faster.
That is a crucial nuance.
Why?
Okay, let's talk advanced tactics.
Mm-hmm.
The source suggests that for people who really want to master this, just talking might not be enough.
Well, remember, anger is physical, so the gold standard is to combine voice with movement.
Walk and talk.
Yes, walk while you talk.
Yeah.
Use hand gestures, even just clenching and unclenching your fists while you speak. Pacing in a private room is great.
So you engage the whole body.
You do. The source also mentions a breathing rhythm. Angry rant, then breathe.
How does that work?
You let out a burst of frustration for, say, 30 seconds. Then you force a pause. You take a deep, slow breath to activate your parasympathetic nervous system. Then you rant again.
It's like interval training for your nervous system.
It is. And for someone who deals with anger a lot, this shouldn't just be an emergency break. It should be a routine.
A daily discharge.
Yes. A few minutes of speaking out frustrations before they accumulate. It's like taking out the trash every day instead of waiting until the house smells.
That's a great image.
They also suggest starting with a body check. Before you even say why you're mad, just describe where it is. My jaw is clenched. My stomach feels like a knot.
And how do we finish? How do we put a period at the end of the sentence?
With a completion ritual, just end the session with a clear statement. Something like, I'm releasing this for now. Or, I have said what I needed to say. It signals to your nervous system that the work is done.
I like that. It creates a boundary. Now, before we wrap, I want to circle back to the writers. We've kind of bashed journaling, so we're not saying burn your notebooks, right?
No, not at all. Writing is an incredibly powerful tool, but the sequence is what matters. The rule is voice first, write second.
Okay, so when do we pick up the pen?
You write after the discharge. Once you've done the yelling in the car, once the shift has happened, that's when you write. You write to capture the insights.
So you'd write, wow, I realized I was actually mad about X, not Y.
Exactly. Writing is for clarity. Speaking is for release. Use the right tool for the right stage.
Are there times where writing might come first?
Maybe for slow burn resentment, stuff that builds over weeks, that responds well to reflection. Or for preparation. If you need to organize your thoughts for a difficult conversation, absolutely write them down. But that's prep, not processing.
Right, don't confuse the itinerary with the journey.
Well put.
So let's bring this all together. What is the big so what for the listener who's thinking, okay, I'm going to try talking to myself in the car?
The big takeaway is that anger contains information. It's data. It tells you a boundary was crossed or a need isn't being met. But you can't read that message while you're drowning in the noise.
You have to turn down the static to hear the signal.
Yes. And the goal isn't just to feel better, it's to understand better. You clear the fog so you can actually see what's going on. And that protects you, and it protects the people around you.
It stops you from being a reactive force of destruction.
It gives you your agency back.
So here's a thought to leave you with. We often think our anger is the problem. I shouldn't be this mad. But maybe the anger isn't the problem at all. Maybe the problem is what you're doing with it. Are you sitting in silence, building a case in your journal and letting it calcify?
Or are you giving that emotion the voice it needs so it can finally move on? The next time you feel that heat rising, don't reach for the notebook. Reach for the car keys.
Give it a try. And maybe warn your neighbors if your car isn't perfectly soundproof. Thanks for diving in with us.
Take care.